Melissa, thank you. Closing arguments are underway in the manslaughter trial of two former Jefferson Parish Sheriff's deputies. Former deputies Jonathan Lewis and Isaac Hughes shot and killed Daniel Vallee while investigating a noise complaint in Marrero back in 2022. Vallee was unarmed. Winston Reed is live from the Jefferson Parish Courthouse with the very latest developments of today's part of the trial. Winston.
The jury is currently listening to arguments to determine if Jonathan Lewis and Isaac Hughes were justified or not in their use of deadly force, shooting and killing Daniel Vallee in 2022 in Marrero. Now, prosecutors began their closing arguments to the jury by explaining the difference between three words: reasonable, imminent, and necessary. Prosecutors dissected the final moments of Vallee's life, playing that body cam video of Lewis and Hughes using deadly force on Vallee, and the jury watched Vallee die at least a half a dozen times on video today. Hughes was positioned in front of the vehicle when he opened fire, and witnesses for the prosecution testified that they do not teach that. During questioning by JPSO investigators, Hughes says, quote, "Now I realize I could have moved," unquote. Prosecutors claim Hughes created the threat. Now, defense attorneys said the jury should focus on everything that led up to Vallee's death, not just the split seconds or minutes before. Defense attorneys say Hughes can stand his ground and meet force with force, and that Vallee was in a, quote, 4,000-pound weapon with the intention of using it as so. The defense insinuates that Hughes was in the right to stand in front of the vehicle Vallee was sitting in, and the prosecution was misguiding the jury. Defense claims that Vallee was non-compliant, violent, and in a stolen car. Also, the defense claims that law enforcement personnel standing in front of a vehicle is common, and defense attorney John Fuller made the argument that a guilty conviction will interfere with future investigations, and more officers or deputies will be killed. And Fuller said, quote, "We're going to hear about another police officer funeral to fear that he would be prosecuted by Rachel Afric." Afric is the prosecution attorney. Now, I am joined here by Craig Murdoch, legal analyst and criminal defense attorney. Mr. Murdoch, you've been watching this trial all morning. What is your takeaway so far?
Two of the best closing arguments I have ever heard back to back in my life. Rachel Afric was absolutely perfect as the assistant district attorney prosecuting this case. She raised the bar. John Fuller right now is up there giving his closing argument. I sat through about 40 minutes of it. He has met that bar and maybe even exceeding it. It is really brilliant lawyering by both parties right now.
What does the prosecution have to prove for a manslaughter conviction?
They have to prove that the two officers killed Daniel Vallee intentionally with heightened circumstances. So a second-degree murder would be an intentional killing of a human being. Manslaughter is a lesser included offense, and it basically says that in certain circumstances, a killing may be less serious than a second-degree murder due to, heightened blood-boiling, intense circumstances. The example that's usually given is if you come home and find someone in bed with your wife and you shoot that person, that's usually looked upon as being manslaughter.
Will we receive a verdict or resolution tonight?
Yes, there will be some type of resolution to this case tonight. Both, the jury is not sequestered, and under Louisiana law, they are not allowed to go home and have a break in deliberations. So there will either be a guilty, not guilty, or a mistrial tonight.
Mr. Murdoch, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now, after arguments, the judge will give the jury final instructions, followed by deliberations and a verdict or resolution. Reporting live at the Jefferson Parish Courthouse, Winston Reed, WWL, Louisiana.